Now to the growing crisis in the Democratic Republic of Congo, where rebel forces are reported to be moving south towards the city of Bukavu after consolidating their grip on the eastern city of Goma. M23 fighters moved into Goma this week. They've reportedly taken control of several districts of the city and have been involved in running battles with Congolese forces. The fighting has forced thousands of civilians to flee across the border to neighbouring Rwanda, whom the Congolese government and the UN accuse of backing the rebel insurgency. At least 17 peacekeepers from a Southern African regional force and the UN's DRC mission have been killed in the fighting. The M23's rapid advance on Goma has seen it take several key towns in the mineral-rich region in the country's east.
Keeping the peace in the Democratic Republic of Congo is a dangerous job. More than 300 UN peacekeepers have been killed since they first arrived nearly 3 decades ago. The South African UN soldiers who died in clashes with Rwandan-backed M23 rebels are just the latest casualties.
Peacekeeping as a tool will be rendered ineffective when the peacekeepers and peacekeeping operations face complex political situations, such as that in the eastern DRC, when other states get militarily involved in fueling conflict.
Above all, Rwanda. In 1994, the genocide there shocked the world. Some of the militant groups behind these crimes crossed over into Congo, and hundreds of thousands of people were forced to flee. It was a situation that ultimately touched off years of conflict involving several countries and in which millions of people died. The UN's Blue Helmets arrived in Congo in 1999, following a ceasefire agreement. Over the years, they struggled to keep the peace in a region rich in minerals where the government's control was weak. Last year, Congo asked the UN to withdraw its peacekeepers, accusing them of failing to protect civilians. But as M23's control over eastern Congo grows, it looks like the UN's involvement will now become more important than ever.
Let's take a closer look at this with Kristof Titeca from the Institute of Development Policy. Welcome to DW. Why do you think peacekeeping forces have been unable to stop the fighting in the Democratic Republic of Congo's east?
Thank you. Well, MONUSCO, or the UN peacekeeping forces, have long been seen as largely ineffective in responding to the violence. This has several reasons, but one of them is their mandate, to which they have been a largely passive attitude, but also a culture developed in which, for example, peacekeepers from particular countries had to have a particularly passive attitude. In response to that, over the years, for example, the Force Intervention Brigade was developed, which had a more active mandate, but that also lost its momentum over the years. So MONUSCO, or the UN peacekeeping force, has been largely ineffective in this situation.
When a UN-mandated peacekeeping force becomes ineffective and is accepted as being ineffective, the fact that the mandate isn't changed or something is done, does that indicate that no one's really paying attention to what's going on there from the UN end of things?
Well, I think a lot of people within the UN have been paying attention, but one, it has been very difficult to change its mandate, and two, MONUSCO has been criticized for being very bureaucratic and being very hard to change organizationally. Attempts to have it changed, like this Force Intervention Brigade, also after a while, they stopped being effective. And over the years, this led to a large feeling of frustration of the population, which accused the peacekeeping forces of even being complicit with rebel groups. This was not true, but it showed the large level of distrust which the population had towards these peacekeeping forces.
The M23 group says it's consolidated control over Goma, a city of nearly 2 million people, in just 2 days. How have they been able to do that so quickly?
Well, the M23 group started in November 21, and particularly over the last year, it has dramatically expanded its territory. Part in that are two things. One, its support by Rwanda, It has been shown in a string of reports by the United Nations how Rwanda and the Rwandan military have directly been supporting the M23 rebels. Secondly, are the difficulties or the fragility of the Congolese army. The Congolese army suffers from corruption and from a wide range of difficulties through which it has been ineffective in countering the threat of the rebel force.
And why is Rwanda backing this rebel force?
Rwanda historically has been involved or has been trying to pursue its influence in Eastern Congo. It does so for a variety of reasons. For security reasons, it believes that the FDLR rebel group, consisting of former genocide perpetrators, is a real security risk for the country. There's also economic reasons. Rwanda has interests in natural resources in Eastern DRC, such as gold or coltan. And thirdly, it generally seeks to extend its influence over the region. Historically, it believes that before colonization, it was part of the Rwandan sphere of influence. And there's still a political feeling that this is part of this zone of influence.
OK, thank you for guiding us through that. Kristof Titeca from the Institute of Development Policy.
Thank you so much.